Good morning and welcome to the Red Mic. Hope everybody's doing okay on this Monday morning. Hope you had a good weekend. Glad you have joined me. These Red Mic messages are leadership and life lessons I've picked up from 25 years as a public servant, 16 years as a youth football coach and scouting volunteer, and 10 years as a mediocre athlete with far more heart than actual physical ability. Today's Red Mic message. Yeah, it's hard to say I'm sorry. Chicago was right. Okay, you got to step up in the workplace. You just do. You screw up, fall on your sword. You've got to say, yeah, that was me, my bad. But if you're in a toxic workplace, how do you do that with and save face with you've got a boss that's breathing down your neck all the time, who doesn't suffer any accidents, mistakes, always looking for a way to blame other people. Maybe they're the kind of person who doesn't step up and actually accept responsibility when things aren't as good as they possibly could have been. Here are some tools. You can, while acknowledging the blame, thank the person for their patience. Yeah, I know that this is taking longer than we had hoped. I appreciate your patience. Here's a probable timeline. Lay it out for them. Part of that leads into you're offering them some solutions too. Sometimes that means you're going to have to tell them, hey, I'm going to get back to you on that. I've already laid out the potential, delays, timeline issues, etc. Here's where I think we're going to go. Here's one that can be a little thorny, a little prickly. It's probably best to do this in a private conversation rather than lay it out in a room with your colleagues or sometimes even your direct reports that your boss may not be directly over, but they're over you, so indirectly they're over them. If you have a difference of opinion, be respectful, but be assertive. I don't think that's the best way to go. Here's why. However, if we stay with your decision, here are some ways that I think that we can hedge our bets. Come up with some alternative language, alternative methods, alternative things to possibly head off issues in the future. Then if it does all go sideways, you don't step up then and say, ha, told you so. You then pivot back to, okay, this has happened. Here's what I think we should do moving forward. What do you think? Not a perfect situation, particularly if you've got a toxic boss who's going to be looking to blame you anyway. Hopefully by then everything will have been established well enough that your ideas are at least in the open somewhere. If you have other commitments, if you have things that are getting in the way, I mentioned last week, my issue with the former boss who didn't want to live up to commitments that were made before she was around. State your case again. I have other commitments. I can't make that deadline. I can't make that meeting. Here's why. Because explanations are always going to be transparency in the workplace. It's very, very important. Now, when you can't do something, when you're going to be late, you're going to be delayed, you can't be there, try to find people on your team who can step up. I can't do that. However, this person is going to be able to do X. This person's going to be able to do Y. They're going to be keeping in contact with me. What do you think about that? Continually seek feedback, not just when you're wrong, but even when things are going well. I appreciate your input on this. How might have you approached this differently? I appreciate your input on this. How can we do this better in the future? Or if it goes completely well, completely 100% right, you know what? Great input. What do you think we could have done to try to make this, even better? Empathy, empathy, empathy. You know, yes, you understand their frustrations, but don't just leave it at that. I mean, it's like the call center. I'm so very sorry that you're having this issue. Yes, I understand, but what are you going to do for me now, Janet? Step up. I understand your frustration, but here's what I would like to offer you. Give them the next step in that. And then last but not least, and again, this is one of these words in the workplace that I've always thought sounds made up and put upon, but be proactive. Try to anticipate potential issues before they happen, and reassure your boss, okay, we've got this one out of the way. We now know to look for that. We won't be caught flat-footed with this issue in the future. And on a related note, we will try to prevent this possible thing from happening that is sort of related to what just happened wrong. Those are just a few thoughts for a Monday morning. And that's today's Red Mike message. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it helpful. I hope you are able to give us a like, a follow, and a share, whether it's here on Facebook or Instagram or X or any of the other platforms where we are, LinkedIn, YouTube. I appreciate you very much. Please give me some comments down below. Would really like to get your feedback on some things. If you have some ideas of things you'd like me to talk about, say, hey, Patrick, this has all been well and good, but what about this? Hey, drop me a line. If you don't feel comfortable putting it in the public comments, give me a line at redmikemessages@gmail.com. I appreciate you. Glad you're here. It's Monday morning. I got to get to the shop. I will talk to you all later, and remember, life is short. Drink the bourbon.